All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Happy Monday. Hope you had a nice weekend and a nice Shabbos. We're going to do one Rashi from the second Aliyah today in Parshas Chayei Sara. This Aliyah, Avram Avinu starts to become worried about future generations. So up till now, Vayera, we had the birth of Yitzchak and sort of the planning, laying the steps for the future, the bris with Avimelech, passing through the experience of the Akedah. All of these were barriers or hurdles that were overcome by Avram and by Sara until she died, and by Yitzchak in order to pave the way for their future. It's all in service of the future that is yet to come. One of the most critical pieces of that is, of course, finding a wife for Yitzchak, which Avram becomes concerned about here in the second aliyah of our parsha, and he takes upon himself to start the process of finding a shidduch. And as he sends Eliezer to go find a shidduch for Yitzchak, he makes him swear that he will not take a wife from Benos HaKnaani, from the women who were in their country, but rather to go back to where he came from in order to find a wife from there. What's also interesting is as Avram develops more into really the Av Hamon Goyim, the head of this new nation, this new religion, as more people gather towards him and as he passes through these hurdles, he starts to talk to God and about God more. So we had one example of God's name which comes up, and the names of God that are used now are significant. We had one example last week, I believe we looked at it on Friday, where he plants the Esha, Vayikra Sham B'Shem Hashem Kel Olam. He calls out there in the name of God, who is the Kel Olam, the God of the world. We discussed why that particular phrasing is important in that pasuk. But now in our aliyah today, we have two more references to the name of God. So first it says, Vayomer Avram el Avdo, Avram says to his servant, Ashbiacha b'Hashem Elokei Hashamayim v'Elokei Haaretz. I'm going to make you swear in the name of the God of Hashem, the God of the heavens and the God of the earth, Asher lo tikach isha livni mibnos haKanani asher anochi yoshev b'kirbo, not to take a wife from the Benos Canaan, from the women of Canaan. So over here, he calls God Elokei Hashemayim Elokei Haaretz. So really, he calls him Hashem, Elokei Hashemayim Elokei Haaretz. If you fast forward a little bit, a couple of psukim later, Vayomer elav Avraham, Avram says further to Eliezer, Hishamer lecha pen tashives b'nei shama. The second piece of the oath is not only please go there and get a wife for Yitzchak, but the second part of the oath is don't leave Yitzchak there, right? You might think, okay, I'm going to go, I'm going to find the shidduch, and if it works out and she wants to stay, so leave Yitzchak there. No, there's twofold promise over here. Number one, go and get a wife, specifically from there and not from here. And number two, make sure that Yitzchak comes back to Canaan and doesn't get stuck there in terms of that marriage. So over here, though, he changes the phrasing of the way he refers to God. He says, Hashem Elokei Hashemayim, Asher lakachani mibeis avi me'eretz moladati, Asher diber li, Asher nishpa li, lemor zarachat and zaretz azos, hu yishlach malacho lefanecha l'kach isha livni misham. At the end of all these oaths, he says he hopes God will send help for Eliezer to succeed at this mission and find a wife for Yitzchak. But he calls him Elokei Hashemayim, Hashem Elokei Hashemayim. So you immediately notice the difference over here. First, he calls him Hashem Elokei Hashemayim Elokei Haaretz, Hashem, the God of the heavens and the God of the earth. And now, a little bit later, only a couple of psukim later, he calls him Hashem Elokei Hashemayim, the God of the heavens. What happened to the God of the earth? So Rashi comments here on the discrepancy between these two names of God, commenting on the second pasuk. He says, Elokei Hashemayim asher lakachani, velo amar Elokei haaretz. He leaves out the second descriptor, Elokei haaretz, the God of the land. Ulamala amar, but earlier in pasuk Gimel, he says, Hashem Elokei Hashemayim ve'Elokei haaretz. So what's the meaning of the discrepancy? Amar lo, really what Avram was saying to Eliezer, his servant, Achshav hu Elokei Hashemayim ve'Elokei haaretz. Shehir galtiv bipi habrios, aval kshelakachani mibeis avi haya Elohei Hashemayim velo Elohei haaretz shelo hayu bai olam makirin bo. Over here in pasuk Gimel says Rashi, Avram is conveying to Eliezer who God is now, and God now is the God of the heavens and the God of the earth. But over here in pasuk Zayin, he's telling him the story of how God took him out of where he came from and brought him to this land. And over there, he refers to him as Elokei Hashemayim, as if to teach Eliezer that you must know, you must recognize that at the time when I left Haran, At the time when I was on my way of Lech Lecha here to the land of Canaan, God was only Elokei Hashemayim. He wasn't the God who was known here on earth. He wasn't the God who was recognized here on earth. He was a God who was limited to the heavens. But you should know that now, when I'm making you take an oath now in the present, you have to swear in the name of God who is Elokei Hashemayim ve'Elokei Haaretz, the God of the heaven and the God of the earth, because you should know and recognize that between the time I came here and now, God has become known in the earth. My work has succeeded. I've accomplished something. God is more well known on earth as well. And therefore, when we refer to him, we should refer to him to the God of the heavens and the God of the earth. It's a fascinating nuance here in terms of the switch of the names, but an even more important point being hammered home here by Rashi, which is that Avram's mission is gaining ground. Avram's mission is succeeding over here. He's accomplishing something. And his main accomplishment is people recognize God. Whether they come to God, whether they fully appreciate God, whether they also worship Avodah Zarah, okay, those are small nuances which you have to deal with. Do they stick around? Do they only come and then they leave? What's going on here? Are we amassing greater numbers in our nation? That's all small details, nuance. At the end of the day, his message is getting out. His PR campaign, so to speak, is working. The Esha, which we studied in last week's parsha, of attracting people and finding reasons to converse about God, is all working. It's taking root. It's spreading in a palpable way, so much so that we need to even refer to God in a different way because God is being known in a different way at this point in history. It's a beautiful stepping stone and a platform towards really being concerned about what happens with Yitzchak, because now that they're actually accomplishing things, there's even more reason to be concerned that it gets passed on into the future as well. Have a great day, everybody. Be well.
Thank you. Have a good day,
Thank you,
everyone.
Rabbi.
Everyone.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
day.
Rabbi.
Everyone.
Good day, Rabbi. Thank you.